Sam, obviously it was a big achievement getting it back to a big play here, but how do you feel the boys have put themselves tonight?
I can't fault the players at all. They've worked so hard this year, and like I said, we worked so hard in the first game. You can see the difference in the build up to the first game. It was the first time we had a free midweek for an awful long time. That's game 39 for us now, and it's just caught up with us. I think we played following that game on the Sunday, which obviously took a lot out of the players physically and mentally. We went down to Gillingham on the Wednesday night, so that was getting home at 3-4 in the morning from there. Then we had to go again away to Rochdale at the weekend, and then 2 days and come back to them. We just couldn't get up to the physicality levels of what you need to do to play football, and we come up against a good side, good young players who move the ball really well, really quickly, but we couldn't get near them to impose ourselves on them, and I just felt disappointed for the players because they worked so hard to get here that they then couldn't do themselves justice of finally getting here.
Was it difficult to know exactly what to expect from Liverpool as well, given the number of youngsters that we've got?
No, I knew what was coming. I've seen them play a number of times, so I know the players. I know it's always going to be similar to the first team. A few little slight differences, but ultimately, you know what you're going to take. It was just as, like I said, the biggest one is we just couldn't get going physically, and we couldn't get up to speed in the game of what where you need to be to play football.
How much of a lift do you need to give the boys when they come here? And obviously, hopes would have been high that they could have caused what would be seen as a kind of upset, I suppose.
Yeah, the players are obviously down at the minute because they knew that if we got anywhere near where we want to, we had a few words at half time, and you could see for 10-15 minutes at the start of the second half, not saying we played great football, but we actually managed to impose ourselves a little bit. Had a goal ruled out in that little spell, and it's the only real spell we could get up to speed and really try and impose ourselves on Liverpool as opposed to just being far too passive over the course of the game in general.
Just finally for me, I just wonder what you think overall of the quality of those Liverpool youngsters that you saw tonight. How far can these kind of players go?
Listen, there's a couple of real talented players in there, and you don't need me to tell you that. You can just see that the fact that they're around the Liverpool first team now tells you enough that what you need to know when the first team here is doing what they're doing and playing as well as they are. For any young player to get anywhere near that team, you know they've got something special about them, and there's a handful in there who have, and a few more younger ones who are coming through, and it's up to them now how they can progress over the next year or two, whether they can make that step up as well.
Sam, I think you said it, but it was disappointing that you guys couldn't sort of get going and get near the first half in particular. Yeah,
I just feel for the players really. They worked so hard to get here, and in the first game, deservedly at least drew the game, if not getting could have, should have won the game. And we run a small squad of 19-20 players. That's game 39, so maybe we should have a winter break as well.
Was there a message before the game to an extent let them have the ball? I don't know if that was going to be the case, or was it just trying to get in their faces as much as possible?
No, you have to pay them respect, and similar to the first game, we let certain players have the ball, and then when it comes into certain areas of the pitch, we have to be really aggressive and on the front foot, and we couldn't get there. We were too far off it, and I just think we didn't have the spark in our play that you saw from the first game. With and without the ball, with the ball, I think we had one passage or two passages of play in the first half where we got a couple of passes together, and yet we should be doing that far more and using our ability on the ball. Pitch was great. It was there to move the ball quickly, and we just couldn't do so. We didn't have the spark on any transition to really hurt Liverpool, and yet 5, 6, 7 times the possibility was there to really hurt them, and we didn't. We probably didn't even play the pass, to be honest with you, which is disappointing.
Obviously raised it after half time. It looked like around the VAR goal that Shrewsbury with the team in the ascendancy looking really threatening.
Yeah, and that's the only time we really managed to really up our tempo of our game a little bit, and then we just flattered again a little bit after that. They are disallowing the goal, obviously changes the course of the game. I'm not saying we were great, but it changed the course of that from that, and then ultimately the game's been decided by an own goal, which is also disappointing. Certainly no blame attached to Roshan. He's a defender, and he's not the first, and he certainly won't be the last. But there wasn't a great deal goal-mouth action. I think Max had one save to make with his feet, where maybe I think it was Nico Williams should probably score, to be fair. But apart from that, we didn't really threaten enough, and huffed and puffed a little bit.
This time last year we were talking about VAR in a fourth round replay technology. Feel hard done by it all?
I like VAR. I don't mind it. You just the problem with VAR is it just highlights rules, and that's what needs to happen. So how far back do you go before a goal to disallow a goal? I remember a goal here not too long ago. I think Van Dijk handled the ball on the halfway line. VAR checking. They went, listen, it was too far away from the goal to to get involved. So how far back do you go? I actually thought, I worried about Sean Morley at first, no problem there. I worried about Dan Udo from the phase of play before that one. He was onside, and it actually ended up coming back 5, 6, 7 passes, 10, 15 seconds before the goal that they end up giving an offside for. At what point, someone just needs to set a rule. We can only go back so far and decide whether it didn't make any difference to the goal. Scott Goldman was coming back towards our own goal. It wasn't as if he got an advantage. And the way I understand it, VAR was brought in for Thierry on rehab ball, or real final actions, really, not 2 or 3 phases of play before the actual goal gets scored. He's going to be disappointed. Like I said, he's not the first, he's not the last. I've been there myself and I've done it. So as a defender, sometimes there are just those horrible balls which you feel you need to head. Lack of communication, possibly. But you're playing in front of the cop. It's not a quiet stand, so maybe the players couldn't hear each other.
Is he young lad? Is he mentally strong enough to be able to?
Listen, don't question Roshan on that. He's a fantastic young player who will go on and have an absolute very, very good career. He's come through Man United, dropped down to come and join us because he wanted to play first team football, which tells you everything you need to know about that lad. Captained England. He's a very, very good player, and you have to learn through these situations.
And just Sam, what you said about disappointment for the players, is there a sort of a feeling of regret after that they couldn't give it their utmost and get going to?
No, listen, I don't know about regret. I just think if we had a 3-week build up to today's game, it would have been a completely different game. We could have been far more imposing of ourselves. Like I said, let certain players have the ball, but then we have to be more physical. And I'm not saying kicking players or anything like that. All I'm saying is some running power. So when we turn over the ball, can we run? Can we press with a bit more intensity than what we were able to do today?
They've got to be raised again, haven't they, for crucial league games, Saturday, Tuesday, home games?
Yeah, we've had 1 free midweek now for probably about 7-8 weeks, and that was in the build up to the first game. So it's a tough ask, and we have to go again now Saturday. We have to go Tuesday. We have to go Saturday again. And like I said, Sean Morley came off injured today, so that reduces the number of players we've got again. It's a fantastic time in terms of the FA Cup. We're disappointed to go out. We were going to go out at some point. We just wanted to go another step, enjoy the journey a little bit more, but ultimately we weren't able to do so.
In winter break then, the EFL needs to introduce it?
No, I'm just saying that we played 39 games this year, and that's a lot. We played 7 games to get here tonight in this competition. We played 4 in the leasing.com, I've nearly called it something else there. We played 1 in the Carabao Cup. It's a lot of games. We're a small side who don't have a lot of players, so our fixtures are really backed up because of this is controversial now, isn't it? FA Cup replays. That's our third replay? Yeah, third replay to get here. So it just puts a lot of strain on the players and physically, mentally getting up to play Liverpool on Sunday. Like I said, Gillingham away on Tuesday. And listen, we do everything within our means, so we're not flying to games. We're coaching, getting back at 3, 4 in the morning, and it's a big ask to go from one extreme, Liverpool, to Gillingham, to Rochdale, to then back in here today, and we'll have to get ready again for the weekend now. Cheers, thank you much.
Early prognosis on Sean, is it? Sean, injury?
Hamstring, but it's not great. Okay. Cheers, lads. Thank you very much. Thank you.